Hi, freshmen. This is Mr. Trevino, as you probably already guessed. I'm with you all today via video, not in person, because the entire high school is going through this course selection process this week, and it's pretty impossible for me to be everywhere at the same time. So, this video will go through the next step of your course selection process, just to give you an idea of what's happened between when you took the survey about a month ago or so and now. All of your current teachers and future teachers provided some recommendations on what courses you should take. And so this form that you're going to receive or may have already received from Mr. Becerra will outline the courses that you chose on the survey along with the courses that you are recommended for. And so from this form, you will actually then have the opportunity to provide some edits, whether on this sheet or maybe you have to get some signatures, which again, I'm going to go through that process in a minute. But before I do so, let me just quickly congratulate you guys on finishing up or almost finishing up your first year of high school. Kind of crazy how time flies, and you're very soon going to be sophomores, and before you know it, you guys are going to be seniors, going off to college very soon. But let's hold up. Obviously, there's plenty of years left at Yes Prep, and I hope you're excited about your next step in your high school career in sophomore year. I do want to just reiterate quickly the importance of this course selection process. You want to make sure that obviously you're thinking about your graduation requirements, your endorsement requirements, and also just thinking about how you want to start challenging yourself in high school so that you're set yourself up for being competitive when you apply to college in a few years. So without further ado, let me quickly orient you on this document. A lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is listed here in this text, but let me kind of first orient you on this table. This column here is what you selected on the survey that you guys filled out. This column here is a recommendation based on what your teachers may or may not have recommended you for. This next column, these last two columns I'll explain in a second, but basically if there's any changes you want to make to your classes, this is where you would write them. So in terms of the electives, you'll notice here your core classes and then electives. Many of your classes you'll see matched based on what you wrote. You're matched with your recommendation, and in some cases I chose a different elective for you because maybe you're missing a credit. In some cases, because of your endorsement, I selected a different elective for you, or you were recommended from a teacher. So let me go into that. What does it mean, this whole recommendation thing? Well, like I said, AP teachers and a couple of other elective teachers provided some recommendations on who should be in their classes. So first would be AP teachers. You will potentially need to change a course if you, let's say in this case, this student chose AP World History. Well, your current teacher and future teacher did not recommend this student to be in AP World History. If you want to change that and you want to be in AP World History, you could advocate for yourself and go through what's called the AP petition process. And you can go to Mr. Gillespie and advocate on why you should be in AP World History. So if Mr. Gillespie accepts, then he would sign it here, and then you would write AP World History in this box. Now, how do you know who to go to depending on the teacher? On the back, you will find a table of all the AP teachers and some of the elective teachers that you would need to get a signature from, along with what room number they're in and the best time to reach them. Another scenario that you may potentially want to change and get a signature is if you did not select the AP course, but your teacher recommended you for the AP course. So in this case, the student did not select AP World History, but Mr. Gillespie thought that you should be in AP World History based on maybe your current work ethic, your grades, and so forth. If you do not want to be in AP World History, though, you at that point have to get a signature from Mr. Gillespie and add regular world history in this column. Another scenario where you may need to get a signature is for a couple of electives: dance, band, and Spanish. For those 3 electives, the teachers provided me with recommendations, and so I went ahead and added those classes to student schedules. So for example, this student here selected digital imaging, but he was recommended by Ms. Almanza to take AP Spanish Literature. So if you do not want to be AP Spanish Literature in this case, then you would need to go to Ms. Almanza and get a signature and advocate for yourself to not be in AP Spanish Literature. Another example would be dance. This student wanted art, but they were recommended to be in dance too. So you would then need to go to Ms. Davis if you do not want to be in that class and get signed out of it. Excuse me. So otherwise, though, let's say the student here decided, you know what, I don't want to do soccer. You could add another elective on here that is different than soccer, obviously, and just put the new elective, but you don't need to get a signature. Any elective that is not dance, band, or Spanish, you do not need to get a signature. Another example would be Art 2 Fashion Design, although I don't think that anybody is in that course in this grade, but if you were interested in taking Art 2 Fashion Design, you do need to get approval also from Miss McAllister, simply because there's limited availability. So let me quickly review what courses you will have in your in your schedule. All of you will have sophomore seminar, all of you will have English 2, and all of you will have science. The variables would be social studies and math. Some of you will take world history or AP World History. Others in math, you'll do geometry and or algebra 2. You'll notice in this example, the student is taking geometry and algebra 2. So many of you did select taking both so that you can reach AP Calculus when you're a senior, which I agree with. But some of you are already in algebra 2 this year, so therefore you're taking pre-calculus next year. So everybody has a different math. If you want to refresh your memory on what elective offerings are offered, they're all back here. So last things that I want to leave you with are, if you are in team sports and you select a team sports and then you see the actual team under the recommendation, that means you made the team for next year. If you select a team sports but you do not see that actual sport under recommendation, that means you did not make that sport. You're welcome to talk to Veracruz, but he already sent me the roster of who should be in the class next year. So if you don't see it under recommendation, then that means you were not on his roster. Also, something I want to mention is that this year, or actually for next year, the Spanish graduation requirement has changed. Students will no longer need 3 years of Spanish. You will only need 2 years of Spanish. So some of you are thinking, wait, so does that mean I have to take Spanish 3 next year if I'm in Spanish 2 this year? Technically, no. You do not have to. But here's my recommendation. Colleges like to see that you take more than what's required. So my recommendation is you take at least 1 more year and you take Spanish 3. But if you think, you know what, Spanish is really difficult for me, it's not my native language, I struggle with it, I struggled in Spanish 1 and 2, then yes, I would definitely recommend that you don't take Spanish 3. But if you know that you can do well in Spanish 3 and AP Spanish and so forth, then I would recommend that you continue just to make yourself a little bit more competitive for college. So I did go ahead and leave Spanish 3 on most of your schedules. I did remove it for some of you if you weren't doing well this year or in Spanish 2 or even Spanish 3. But it is up to you if you want to remain in Spanish 3 because, again, it is not a requirement as of next year. The last thing I'll say is this note section here. I did add some notes for some of you. Some of you are not on track to meet your endorsement, and so I actually added a note on there that you may want to consider changing your endorsement, and Mr. Becerra has change endorsement forms. So if you are interested in changing your endorsement, then please fill out this form and turn it in to your college counselor with the proper information on that form. So what are your next steps? Next steps are here. If there is no change and you are in full agreement that the recommendation column is your schedule for next year, then you do not have to do anything other than turn this form in to Mr. Becerra at the end of this class. If there is a change that you want to make, there are two options. One, if it is an elective or a class that you do not have to get a signature for, then just make the change and turn it in by the end of the class. If you do require signatures, then you have this week and next week to talk to your teachers to get those signatures. They are due to Mr. Becerra no later than 9th period on Friday, 4/21. If he does not receive this form, then I will assume that you are okay with the classes under the recommendation column. If you have any questions, please reach out to your college counselor or myself, and we're happy to help. Your teachers may also know the responses, but I hope this video was clear enough, and sorry for talking so much. Have a great day and happy course selection. Bye-bye.